Good morning, everyone. Terry here with Wicked Growth Club. Wanted to give a overview into Google AdWords and why it's such a powerful tool. And so we just created this account, and bear with me as we walk through some of their introductory steps and kind of how they recommend we get started. And so on this first little portion here, this plus create campaigns and ad groups, keywords, and more. So this allows you to create your campaigns. Just kind of an easy button. A lot of times too, when you start getting pretty good at these, you're going to create your campaigns in another tool. But when you're on a smaller scale, this is a wonderful way and kind of the first place that you're going to look to get started in this first button. Next, so this allows you to filter all your campaigns. And if you have a lot, it just makes things a little bit easier. And when you think about things like campaigns, you want to think about how you're going to break up your different categories of keywords. And so it can be, a campaign can be almost something like location or the product that you have or service or the group of person or audience that you're trying to target. And so different ways that you can kind of build that campaign. And the way that you can filter it is on top. And so it allows you to kind of think too, what is the easiest way for me to filter all these campaigns if I do structure it in a particular way? So optimize your campaigns with tailored recommendations. Get more out of your ad campaigns with recommendations tailored to your account. Yes and no. As much as Google loves to recommend a lot of recommendations, most of what you're going to find, and a lot of criticism that Google has, is they almost feel as though you have an unlimited spending budget. And because of that, they want you to test and do things that they believe might be beneficial. But for your budget and for your business, it might not be. And so my recommendation is do what you can. Don't always follow the recommendations within Google. And in a really weird way, kind of trust your own gut based upon what you feel as though is and isn't working. Is the first place you're going to go when you get started in your campaign is going to be in this create section. And this will allow you to create a campaign, conversion, or action. So most of the time, this is where you're going to be starting off your actions. Your first page will have this great overview of how your campaigns have been trending in the last few days. Clicks, impressions, cost per click, and overall cost. You can adjust this overall time frame in this calendar view here to see and compare even your last 30 days to a different date, which is really cool. They also recommend to, in the introductory steps, to kind of check out these filters so that when you want, you can actually even get an overview of various filters. And the cool thing and the recommendation I would have is, go back, let's do the filters. Okay, cool. So under workplace filters, you can use these filters to organize your campaigns into sets to make it easier to manage. And so what that means is, how you want to structure your campaign in Google Ads is actually quite important. And it's not make or break or anything, but it just adds and reduces a lot of simplicity as well as overlap. And so, and simplicity, overlap, and easier data management and control. And so how you want to structure it can either depend upon either the service, your customer audience, the location in which you want to serve, budget types. It can kind of span in various different ways, but there's no real right or wrong answer. But when you do create it, I would try to give it some type of thought into what the best buckets you want in these bigger groups. And then kind of creating it from there for these campaigns, just to make it easy to see how a particular campaign or a set group is doing compared to another. And so let's say if you have multiple products, I would probably create campaigns based upon products, product groups, and maybe another one just for your own personal brand. And so that would be one example. Then let's move forward. So show your workplaces. Click your current workspace to continue, and you can see all of the current campaigns that you have. And so if you hover over workspace to edit its filters, make it your default workspace or delete it. You can create your own workspaces, and so you can actually see too what kind of campaigns you're trying to run. And so in this one, we are showing the campaign workspace of a Performance Max campaign, and it allows us to see too what kind of workspaces we have. And so if you hover over your workspace to edit its filter, make sure it's your default workspace or delete it. Done. Okay, cool. Let's go back to all campaigns. Guide was completed. Wonderful. And then, so moving on, recommendations is a great section for Google, but I would say make sure you're doing kind of the very basics, but in terms of some of their recommendations that take you over the top, be a little careful. I think as long as you're doing 70 to 80% of the job there within Google Ads, you're essentially 100%. A lot of the last remaining 20% are things that Google kind of recommends to amplify your costs to hopefully get a little bit more of those either gains or learnings. And for a lot of businesses, it might be above and beyond your budget or technical expertise in order to do so. And so for the most part, basic search, having a good set of foundations with regards to a strong headline, descriptions, site links, your Google business profile are all extremely important. And so don't miss anything, but at the same time, be careful of the recommendations Google has for trying new different areas or spending more on certain campaigns. Cool. Okay, and then insights and reports. So I don't spend as much time here, but this is a great portion to see how well your campaigns are doing overall. And so typically I have a separate dashboard for this, but this is a great section if you're getting started. Most of the time, you're going to be spending your time under campaigns. And so this is a campaign that we have built, and I will probably make this campaign a little bit more broken out, and it might be based upon the services that we provide, and so, or this company provides. And so let's say this one would be a business phone advisor. Okay. So that is a type of service that we provide. And then underneath, I will be adding keywords or location. So I will be refining this campaign further and further so that I have things like keywords that a person will be searching under that. I will also have assets that highlight these ads if they're able to pop up. I'll also be adding things like negative keywords where, okay, if someone actually adds this term in addition to what I'm asking for, please filter them out because they're probably not the right type. The great thing is they give a lot of great recommendations, a lot of help to have you start getting started. And I know a lot of this seems kind of daunting, but it's not that challenging the moment you start kind of building things in. And so under campaign, wonderful asset groups, we have few images, logos, for example, headlines, long logo headlines, couple descriptions, etc. And we can add more too. Experiments, a little bit more advanced, but this allows you to be able to have multiple different kind of tests going on at the same time, which is really cool. It allows you to kind of do a bit of A/B testing and see, okay, can I actually do things to improve the performance of my campaigns? Generally assets, everything from assets, spend time on these. I don't know if it's kind of like Gatorade, for example, where they just want shelf space, but having additional information that really highlights your ad can be the difference between someone seeing it versus someone taking action. And so to make sure that you compel that person as much as possible to take that next step, leverage these assets as best as possible. And then there's audiences, keywords, content. Under location, this is actually, funny enough, one of my favorite places. This section, audiences, keywords, and content. This is because it allows you to really drill down into getting kind of crazy about certain things. What I mean is, all right, let's say that you want to mainly target homeowners. You can drill down so you remove zip codes where a lot of business buildings are, for example, in your targeted locations. And one of my other favorite places is ad schedule. For example, I don't want to show my ads, or I want to decrease the spend of my ads over the weekend because I know people won't call and my SDR team won't answer. And so that's another idea too. And so that's extremely helpful for a good marketer to adjust for cost, to make sure you are spending in the right ways. In terms of change history, I love this place because it is very easy to show, okay, who made these updates within the system? What happened? And kind of tracks back around, okay, based upon this action that I made, these are the results that happened. And you should be able to go back in time and see actually, all right, it was based upon these actions as well, which I think is extremely helpful to make sure too that, hey, are people managing my account properly? Is my account properly being taken care of? Or am I utilizing an employee or agency or even myself that hasn't touched the account in over a year or two and hoping that it still continues to run at its peak performance? Because you're spending a lot of money in this platform. So under goals, this is where you need to set up your conversion metrics. And so one thing that's important is what Google wants to do is make sure that, and what makes Google so powerful is you can actually see how much impact digital advertising is having on your business. And that's what conversion goals are. It allows you to see what are the impacts that these ads that are showing are making. So if a person clicks on my ad and eventually submits a form after 30 days or calls my phone number, Google will track that back and say, okay, we're taking credit for that. And we can actually demonstrably show that, okay, this is the keyword that led them here. This is the time. This is the audience information. And hopefully you can get that cost of acquisition even lower in the future. And hopefully you can expand that audience in the future as well. And so that's kind of the beautiful thing about conversions is just more insight and transparency. It's wonderful. It's possibly my favorite part about Google Ads. And so let's take a quick summary overview of what they actually have to say about this. So let's easily manage conversion actions with goals. Can add, edit, remove, and troubleshoot conversion actions for each goals. Apply account default goals to get the most conversions for your budget. So you want to, essentially what this is asking is, in the future, you're going to want to either drive people to get a phone call, to call your business, or to submit a lead. And you're going to have the opportunity and understand too what you want to track and how you want to track it. And then giving you the ask to track your conversions for optimization, meaning, hey, let's start tracking this stuff so that you know what's going on with how much you're spending. And then you can just return to your view all the time. So we should add a conversion in the future for website form fills. And to do that, we're going to need to add a bit of code to our website. And so we'll be using something called Google Tag Manager to do that. But otherwise, we can actually, Google does some cool things like being able to track things from calls and click to calls too, and so we'll be setting that up as well. And so tracking is a very big part of advertising, and it's one of the strongest selling points of Google. All right, very cool. So that is a general quick overview about Google Ads and kind of getting a rundown into it. I hope that this has been helpful, and if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you have a great one.